हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू स्टडी फीलिया एजुकेशन। आज हम यूनिट 8 पढ़ेंगे, दैट इज द वैदिक पीरियड। And in this unit, we are going to construct or reconstruct the early Vedic period, and we are going to learn about the large scale migration by the Indo-Aryan group through various sources, and we are going to critically evaluate their sources. We are going to learn different theories and different hypotheses that has been put forward by archaeologists and historians. तो हम वो सारी there are different theories, and हम वो सारी थ्योरीज पढ़ेंगे, सारे डिबेट्स पढ़ेंगे अबाउट द आर्यन इन्वेजन, आर्यन माइग्रेशन, वॉट एवर debates discussion there are. We are going to learn about that. What is did Aryans actually migrated, and who are Aryans? The most important question, because people get really confused when it comes to the Aryans. And we are going to study about the nature of economy, society, polity, and religion. These four aspects. पहला इकोनॉमी, दूसरा सोसाइटी, तीसरा पॉलिटी और चौथा रिलीजन। अर्ली वैदिक पीपल जो उस पीरियड में रह रहे थे, अर्ली वैदिक टाइम्स में, वी आर गोइंग टू लर्न दीज things or these characteristics of that period and of those people. And we are going to answer various questions. What are the sources? There are two different types of sources. Pehla is um, archaeological, and dusra is based on religious text or literary sources. We are going to learn different theories and about the economy, society, polity, and religion. So besides this, agar koi bhi question hai, so you can write that in the comment box, and I'll ask you different questions throughout the lecture. And if you have any doubts, you can write it down and we'll reply. Or if you want deeper analysis, we can do that in the next lecture as well. So let us first learn about the early Vedic period. This period is from, the timeline is 2000 to 1000 BCE. During this period, communities at different stages of cultural developments were present in India. So not just early Vedic, there were different cultures that were taking place and that were present in different regions across India. There was never a uniformity at any time. Their cultures essentially agro-pastoral, and our understanding of this culture is based on the archaeological remains. So the different cultures that we find after the Harappan period, after the decline of the Harappan civilization, we find different cultures, and we study about those cultures through the archaeological remains. Because unlike Harappan culture, इस post Harappan period में हमको इतने कुछ written records नहीं मिलते हैं, but we find that there is a voluminous body of religious text, the Vedas. We find the Vedas, and they are considered to be the earliest literary records of India. We shall also try to supplement this evidence with relevant archaeological evidence. Archaeological evidence basically जो हमें इस period के मिलते हैं, they are of pottery. They are mostly pottery evidences, and it they are not it doesn't help. On the basis of pottery alone we cannot distinguish between different communities and different culture. We need more evidences, and those evidences are provided to us by the Vedas. So the Rig Veda is considered to be the earliest collection of hymns available. So we shall try examining the Rig Veda to understand the early Vedic period. This exercise to learn about the Vedas is very important because, according to archaeologists, Vedas are thought to have been composed by the Aryans, and it was long believed that Aryans played a major role in civilizing the Indian subcontinent. So, archaeologists historians believe that these Vedas are compiled and are written by the Aryans who migrated and came to India. And Aryans played a major role in civilizing the entire Indian subcontinent. If we carefully and very critically analyze the content of Rig Veda, it does not give impression of very advanced material culture. Matlab, the material culture that we see during the Indus Valley civilization, like the types of arts and crafts and the trade, the kind of trade that they had. So when we study the Rig Veda, which is most probably written after the Harappan period, हमको ऐसे advanced material culture का कुछ evidence नहीं मिलता है. सेकेंड थिंग अबाउट द वेदास इज, जब हम ऋग वेदा को बाकी वेदा से, बाकी कंटेंट से जब कंपेयर करते हैं जो लेटर वैदिक पीरियड में लिखी गई है, इट बिकम क्लियर दैट विद इन द वैदिक सोसाइटी इटसेल्फ बहुत सारे चेंजेस हो रहे थे. जो कि वो हमें चेंजेस कैसे पता चलते हैं, क्योंकि ऋग्वेदा इज द अर्लीस्ट written hymns that we find, but after Rigveda there were various Vedas and Upanishads जो लिखे गए थे. तो जब हम उनको कंपेयर करते हैं, we see that there were different changes in the society and the society was changing constantly. What does this mean? मतलब जब हम different text पढ़ते हैं और उन text के through हमें पता चलता है कि society was changing, which means that there was no fixed cultural pattern. So there was, this is very important, there was no fixed cultural pattern that can be called the Vedic culture or the Aryan culture. So we have to do away with these terms, because even in the different Vedas, even in the different Upanishads, we find that the society is constantly changing. The rules or the ideologies, they are transforming, they are developing, they are changing. So there is not a fixed culture, ऐसा कुछ fixed Vedic culture, this is the Vedic culture, this was present in this much region, ऐसा कुछ fixed नहीं है. There was no such thing as Aryan culture as well. There are some evidences like आर्कियोलॉजिकल एक्सकेवेशंस के थ्रू या ऋग्वेदा के टेक्स्ट में जो जो जगहों का नाम लिखा है, उनसे हमें पता चलता है कि हाँ, इन जगहों पे इस तरीके के लोग रहते थे, जो इस तरीके की, जिनकी इस तरीके की थिंकिंग थी, जो जिनका सोसाइटी में रहने का पैटर्न, वो सब हमें ऋग्वेदा के थ्रू पता चलता है. वी गेट टू नो अबाउट सम प्लेसेस like the core geographical area to which the evidence of Rigveda relates to was the Sapt Sindhava, or the land of seven rivers. Sapt Sindhava. This would correspond to the whole of Punjab and Haryana, some regions of Haryana. But the Rigvedic geography also included Gomal Plains, southern Afghanistan, and southern Jammu and Kashmir. So there are some regions in which we find this Rigvedic ideology in this Rigvedic text. So the earlier interpretation regarding the early Vedic society are based on the theory of Indo-Aryan migration, from the West Asia to the Indian subcontinent. So West Asia is here, and through West Asia there was this migration to the Indian subcontinent. And who migrated? The Aryans. So there is the first theory today is के Aryans, Indo-Aryans migrated from the Western Asia to the Indian subcontinent, and these migrants, these Indo-Aryans, they are regarded as the authors of Vedas. So they are regarded as the author of Vedas, and they are also known as the Vedic people. According to this historical, this is just a theory. So this is our first theory, that a group of people known as Indo-Aryans, they migrated from West Asia to the Indian subcontinent. They are known as the Vedic people because it is assumed that they are the authors of the Vedas. According to historical interpretations, these Aryans came to India in several stages or waves. So there was no large-scale migration, but in this theory, in our first theory, it is saying that there was no large-scale migration. These Aryans, they came at different stages in waves. थोड़े थोड़े करके ये आए थे. There was no large scale migration, although there are some theories that suggest that there was a large scale migration. The another theory is that the Aryans came in a large scale, and they fought wars with the indigenous inhabitants of the subcontinent. They defeated them, they destroyed their culture. It's just a theory. Like this, it's just a theory. So this is an example of the text. It's a page from the Rig Veda. So we have two types of sources to study the early Vedic period. The first is the literary sources, and then there is archaeological sources. So literary sources में we have four Vedas: Rig Ved, Sam Ved, Yajurved and Atharva Ved. Out of these, Rig Veda is the earliest written text. मतलब earliest text of this period that we find that. The word Veda is derived from the Sanskrit word Vid, and Vid means, the word Vid in Sanskrit means to know. We have already studied about the four Vedas in our first lecture. That is when we study the sources to reconstruct the history of India. Among those sources, Vedas are very important. We have in detail studied the Vedas there. So the word Veda is derived from the Sanskrit word Vid, which means to know. And Vedas are a compilation of prayers and hymns which are offered by different families of poets and sages to different gods. So, not one person is writing the Vedas. Different families of poets and sages are writing the Veda, and they are writing it about different gods. The four Vedas are also Samhitas in the sense that they represent the oral traditions at that time. Why are Vedas considered an oral tradition? Vedas ka written pages, we have found various manuscripts of the Vedas, but it is considered as Samhitas also. It's an oral tradition because Vedas were meant to be recited throughout generations. People used to recite the Vedas. It was transmitted orally because first generation would recite it to the second generation. They will learn it, they'll remember it, and then the second generation will recite it to the third generation. ऐसे ऐसे करके it was orally transmitted. They were not written down. This is very important. The Vedas were not written down when they were first composed. After many years of their composition, after being orally transmitted from one generation to another for hundreds of years, after that only Vedas were written down. So that is the reason why they are known as Samhitas. Samhitas are the oral tradition, Samhitas, and it is very difficult for archaeologists to date them. So, due to this, none of the Samhitas can be dated precisely. Relative dating in terms of this context of these four Samhitas led scholars to believe that the Rig Veda can be placed in a period between 1500 to 1000 BCE. So this is a relative period, an approximate date about the composition of the Rig Veda कि इस period में Vedas were composed. The Rig Veda Samhitas comprises 10 books or mandalas, of which, okay, so, wait a minute. Sorry for this. Yes, so the Rigvedic Samhita comprises 10 books which are known as mandalas, of which book 2 and book 7 are considered to be the earliest and belong specifically to the early Vedic phase. Scholars found similarities in the language used in Rigved and the Avesta. This is very important. So scholars found the similarity between Rigveda and Avesta. What kind of similarities? Language, linguistic similarities. The language written in both these books were a little similar. And what is Avesta? Avesta is an old Iranian text and it is older than Rigveda. It is older. It is very important that Avesta और ऋग्वेदा में जो लैंग्वेज है वो बहुत सिमिलर है, बट अवेस्ता इज older than Rigveda. Based on these linguistic similarities between Avesta and Rigveda, scholars suggest करते हैं, now they are suggesting. So first theory that we learned was कि group of people known as Indo-Aryans migrated from West Asia to the Indian subcontinent. Now, on the basis of Avesta, after studying and critically analyzing the Avesta and the Rigveda, scholars suggest that both the people जो इन बुक में जिन लोगों के बारे में लिखा गया है, दोनों किताबों में, इन दोनों बुक्स में, अवेस्ता में भी और ऋग्वेदा में भी, जिन लोगों के बारे में लिखा गया है, जिन लोगों का मेंशन है इन बुक में, both these people they had a common linguistic group. Common linguistic group मतलब the languages that they use, the languages that were there, they had a lot in common, and they migrated from West Asia and Iran to the Indian subcontinent. इन दोनों बुक्स में ऐसा लिखा गया है. Second thing, the Aryans had a common original home from where different groups migrated to Europe and the East. So scholars suggest that they come up with the two theories. पहला is that जो ऋग्वेदा और अवेस्ता में जिन लोगों का मेंशन किया गया है वो एक ही है, and they are known as Aryans, and ये जो लोग लिखे गए हैं इसमें they migrated from Western Asia to India, and in Asia, in Europe, where they migrated from the Europe, they had a common original home. So they had this common place in Europe, in Western Asia, from where they migrated to different parts of the Indian subcontinent. However, this debate, ये जो ओरिजिनल होम वाले की एक ओरिजिनल प्लेस है जहां से माइग्रेशन हुआ है, is no longer valid. So this debate is no longer valid since the concept of common racial identity for the Aryans has now been proved false. So Aryans didn't have a common racial identity. They didn't have an original home, an original place from which they migrated. But तो ये जो थर्ड थ्योरी थी कि आर्यंस हैड अ कॉमन ओरिजिनल होम, इसको दिस इज नाउ प्रूवन फॉल्स. We should know we should study different theories, but we should also know what are those theories that have been proven false. So this one is proven false. Aryans didn't have a common racial identity, and they didn't have an original home. But we see a common linguistic identity, and historians still insist upon the theory of Aryan migration. So what is accepted and what is rejected by the historians? So जो पहली चीज जो reject हो गई कि there is no original home, there is no original place, there is no racial identity of the Aryans. ठीक है. And what is accepted is जो theories हैं कि Aryans migrated from the western part of the Asia to the Indian subcontinent, and the linguistic similarities between Avesta and the Rigveda, these are accepted. Now let us look at the archaeological sources. So archaeological sources में post Harappan period, post Harappan या Chalcolithic settlement have been found at various regions जैसे पंजाब, उत्तर प्रदेश, Rajasthan. Over the last 40 years, post Harappan settlements, तो हमें पता है ये regions की, हमने उनके बारे में पढ़ा है, but post Harappan settlements पंजाब, उत्तर प्रदेश और राजस्थान जैसे areas में मिलती है, and they have been dated, these post Harappan settlements have been dated from 1700 BCE to 600 BCE. These Chalcolithic culture are also known as the late Harappan culture. They are also known as ochre colored pottery. So this first image, ये पहली इमेज है ochre colored pottery. So ये इस टाइप की पॉटरी जिन रीजन से पाई जाती है उन रीजन्स को हम बोलते हैं कि जो कल्चर यहाँ पे है वो ऑकर कलर्ड पॉटरी का कल्चर है. देन देर इज ब्लैक रेडवेयर पॉटरी, दिस सेकेंड टाइप. दिस ब्लैक redware pottery also represents another culture. Then the third type of pottery that is found is the painted grayware. This one is painted grayware. However, most important thing to know is that पहला है कि ये सब पाए गए हैं post Harappan period. After the decline of Harappan settlement, these type of potteries they are dated from 1700 BC to 600 BC. तीन टाइप्स की पॉटरी इन रीजन्स. व्हाट आर द रीजन्स? पंजाब, उत्तर प्रदेश, नॉर्दर्न राजस्थान. इन टाइप ऑफ रीजन्स, इन रीजन से हमें ये डिफरेंट डिफरेंट पॉटरीज मिलती है. बट द इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग टू रिमेंबर इज दैट एक पॉटरी does not reflect the entire culture of people. Different types of pottery does not mean that the people who use the pots are also different. So this is very important when we study the archaeological sources कि अगर हमें एक जगह से ऑकर कलर पॉटरी मिल रही है और एक जगह से रेड ब्लैकवेयर पॉटरी मिल रही है, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि दीज पॉटरीज आर यूज्ड बाय डिफरेंट पीपल और एक इंसान, एक कल्चर एक बार में एक ही टाइप की पॉटरी यूज कर रहा है, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. सो वी शुड नो दैट. Pottery analysis only help in defining a specific trait of a cultural assemblage, nothing more. So एक ये टाइप की pottery, सपोज जो पेंटेड ग्रेवेयर है, इट डज नॉट रिप्रेजेंट एन एंटायर कल्चर. हम पॉटरी से पूरा कल्चर नहीं जान सकते. पॉटरी जस्ट प्रोवाइड्स अस एन आइडिया ऑफ द कल्चरल असेंबलेज, मतलब किस टाइप का मटीरियल कल्चर था वो हमें पॉटरी के थ्रू थोड़ा सा एविडेंस मिलता है. Now let us study about the Aryan invasions. So who are the Aryans? Aryans, we learned that Aryans are considered to represent a linguistic group speaking Indo-European languages. Archaeologists have attempted to relate various post-Harappan cultures with Aryans. How they have done that? ये जो painted grey है, ये वाला, this painted grey has been dated between 900 to 500 BCE. एंड आर्कियोलॉजिस्ट क्या कर रहे हैं, वो ये पेंटेड ग्रेवेयर को आर्यन क्राफ्टमैनशिप से एसोसिएट कर रहे हैं. दे आर सेइंग दैट द पेंटेड ग्रेवेयर दैट इज फाउंड बिटवीन 900 to 500 BC is associated with आर्यन क्राफ्टमैनशिप. मतलब आर्यन क्राफ्टमैन ने बनाई है ये पॉटरी. Their argument is based on the inferences which historian used. Hence, historians already have found similarities between Rigveda and Avesta. Now, they are trying to find similarities between pottery also. So, they try to find similarities in pottery forms, the paintings on the ceramics, and the form of copper objects that have been found. So between post-Harappan and the West Asian or Iranian Chalcolithic assemblages. So what archaeologists did was, पहले तो उन्होंने जो टेक्स्ट है, जो वेस्टर्न एशियन और जो इरानियन टेक्स्ट है, they tried to find similarity between West Asian and the post-Harappan cultures. So how did they find the similarities? पहला तो उन्होंने बोला कि there is a linguistic similarities between the Western Asian and the post-Harappan culture. जो ऋग्वेदा में जो लैंग्वेज यूज की गई और जो अवेस्ता में लैंग्वेज यूज की गई, it's very similar and both the books are talking about the same people. Now second, वो pottery से, the type of pottery that is found, the type of painting that is done on the pottery, the type of copper objects that are found, ये उनका comparison करके they are trying to establish a connection between the West Asian and the post-Harappan assemblages. एंड इस टाइप से पॉटरी कंपेयर करने से नाउ मोर एंड मोर historians believe that there was that Aryans were a group of people who migrated from the West Asia to the Indian subcontinent. So both the literary as well as the archaeological sources, um, they validate the notion of migration. We already know that there are linguistic similarities between Rigveda and Avesta, but such similarities does not really suggest a large-scale migration of people into the Indian subcontinent. So with this, we should keep in mind that बेशक text में there is archaeological evidence, there is literary evidence, but there is no evidence that there was a large-scale migration. The concept of an Aryan cannot be equated with any particular type of pottery. Although archaeologists ने क्या किया, जो painted grey ware है उसको आर्यन craftsmanship से associate करने की कोशिश की, but we know that a type of pottery cannot be equated with Aryan culture because the Aryans does not have any ethnic or racial significance. Therefore, at best, this term Aryan is just a vague concept. Why? Because they don't have a racial identity. उनके पास कोई ethnic identity, racial identity नहीं है. Aryans is this word is used for people who had similar linguistic background. So now through archaeological excavations, two type of theories have come into light. The first one is that पहले scholars ऐसा मानते थे कि Aryans caused the downfall of Harappan civilization by destroying Harappan towns. So पहले पहले scholars का ही मानना था कि there was this Aryan invasion, उन्होंने हरप्पन civilization को destroy कर दिया because ऋग्वेदिक hymn में there is a Rigvedic hymn which is trying to invoke Indra. Indra is the god. It is trying to invoke Indra to destroy the dwellers in fort. So ये जो ऋग्वेदा में ये जो हिम है कि वो उकसा रहे हैं इंद्र को कि ये सब जो भी फोर्ट्स हैं और जो ड्वेलर्स लोग रहते हैं इनको खत्म कर दो, उससे स्कॉलर्स आर सेइंग दैट Aryans destroyed the Harappan civilization and they caused the downfall of the Harappan cities. But archaeological evidences have shown that Harappan civilization was not caused by a large-scale destruction by any alien individual group, invading group. So, बेशक ऋग्वेदा में हमें ऐसे हिम्स मिलते हैं that are provoking the god, but there is no archaeological evidence which suggests that Harappan civilization का large scale destruction हुआ, वो भी आर्यंस की वजह से. और फिर दूसरी थ्योरी थी जो हमने पढ़ी कि दे historians try to associate this painted graveware pottery with the Aryans, but इसका भी हमें कोई archaeological evidence strong नहीं मिलता है. Third is the invasion theory. So it was earlier thought that there exists a time gap and a cultural discontinuity between late Harappan and the post Harappan period. So पहले क्योंकि इतने excavations नहीं हुए थे तो आर्कियोलॉजिस्ट को लगता था कि there is this gap in the sense बेशक cultures थे but उन्हें कोई cultures excavations के through नहीं मिल रहे. So there was this gap between post Harappan and the between late Harappan and the post Harappan period. So उसमें एक गैप दिखता था. बट अभी रिसेंटली एक्सकेवेशन जो भगवानपुरा, धादेरी और मांडा, धादेरी इज इन हरियाणा एंड मांडा इज इन जम्मू, they have shown that the late Harappan and the painted greywares could be found together without any break. So the invasion theory is also not valid. कैसे? आर्कियोलॉजिस्ट ने पहले बोला कि जो पेंटेड ग्रेवेयर पॉटरी है दिस इज एसोसिएटेड विद द आर्यंस and they said that Aryans came in large number and they destroyed the culture and then they established and they started civilizing the subcontinent. But अब recent excavations के थ्रू हमें पता चलता है कि जम्मू में, Haryana में there are places where late Harappan pottery and painted graveware pottery दोनों साथ में पाए गए हैं. मतलब ड्यूरिंग द सेम पीरियड ऑफ टाइम उनको जब डेट करते हैं तो वो एक ही टाइम पीरियड के हैं. दिस शोज दैट अभी कोई गैप नहीं है, दे को एग्जिस्टेड. So there is no gap, like there is this continuity of culture. Hence, invasion cannot be proved on the basis of these excavated site. So now we'll know what disappeared or what continued. So क्या गायब हो गया after post in the post Harappan period? कौन सी चीजें थी जो गायब हो गई, कौन सी चीजें थी जो continued है, कौन सी ऐसी characteristics है. तो क्या गायब हुआ? After 1750 BCE, after this we see that Harappan towns and cities have started disappearing. Artifacts such as seals, weights, measures, we don't find these type of artifacts anymore. But what continued? The rural structure of the earlier period continued. The variation found in the archaeological remains of the post-Harappan period in terms of pottery, metal, implements, and other objects represent regional variations in the Indian Chalcolithic culture. Now let us learn some more debates about the Aryans. First, there is no substantial proof in the archaeology that there was a large-scale migration of people from the Western Asia to the Indian subcontinent. So पहला तो जो हमने large scale migration वाला theory है, it's not accepted because there is no archaeological evidence stating this. Second, archaeology also does not prove that Aryans destroyed Harappan civilization. ठीक है. So archaeological evidences, they don't support any large scale migration, and also they don't give us the proof of the Aryans destroying the Indus civilization. But जब हम literary text जैसे ऋग्वेदा पढ़ते हैं तो we see that it is written in Rigveda that there was various clashes and the wars going between Aryans and non-Aryans community. दे डॉक्यूमेंटेड है ऋग्वेदा में, बट इनका आर्कोलॉजिकल एविडेंस कहीं नहीं मिलता है. Now let us study about the economy. Early Vedic society was pastoral. So now what does the word pastoral mean? When they say that early Vedic society was pastoral, it means that cattle rearing, cattle matlab गाय, भैंस, ox, these are the cattle. So cattle rearing was a dominant occupational activity. A pastoral society relies more on its animal wealth than agriculture produce. So इस differentiate से if anyone ask, कोई भी पूछे कि pastoral society क्या है, तो उसमें animal are more important than the एग्रीकल्चर. ऐसा नहीं कि वो एग्रीकल्चर प्रैक्टिस नहीं करते, बट वो एनिमल्स को बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस देते हैं इन द पैस्टोरल सोसाइटी. उनका डोमिनेंट फॉर्म ऑफ ऑक्यूपेशन इज कैटल रियरिंग्स, एनिमल्स का ही ध्यान रखना. Pastoralism is a subsistence strategy adopted by people who live in areas where large-scale agriculture is not feasible due to some environmental constraint or some cultural constraint. So pastoralism, ये जो टाइप ऑफ इकोनॉमी है, ये कहाँ मिलती है? ये उन एरियाज में देखने को मिलती है जहाँ एग्रीकल्चर होना इज नॉट फीजिबल, इज नॉट पॉसिबल. और एग्रीकल्चर क्यों पॉसिबल नहीं है? क्योंकि या तो जोग्राफिकली लैंड इतना फर्टाइल नहीं है कि दे कैन डू एग्रीकल्चर, या तो एनवायरमेंटल कंस्ट्रेंट्स है, लाइक बहुत ही ड्राउट हिट एरिया, बहुत सूखा होता है उधर, उतनी बारिश नहीं होती, दे डोंट हैव इरिगेशन, so agriculture is not possible. And sometimes there are cultural constraint due to various reason. Pastoral communities are present where agriculture is not possible. And because cattle rearing is their main occupation and because they give so much importance to animals, we see that Rig Veda There is evidence of importance of cattle. So how do we know that cow, especially in cattle, cow was very important? How do we know that? So from the Rig Veda हमको बहुत सारे linguistic expression मिलते हैं. What are these linguistic expressions? We'll know. First is that cow was known as gau. अभी हम उसे गाय बोलते हैं. That time cow was known as, in Rig Veda it is written as gau. So cattle was the chief measure of wealth and a wealthy man owned many cattle. So पहला term जो first is गोमत. First term is Gomat. Who was a Gomat? Gomat was a wealthy man who owned many cattle. How do we describe wealth? We described wealth in the Vedic period. Wealth was described as any person who had a lot of cattle, lot of cows, जिसके पास जितनी गाय वो उतना अमीर. So a man जिसके पास बहुत सारी गायें हैं, he was known as Gomat. The term used for conflicts in battles and periods were known as Gavishti, Gavasena, and Gavyat. So these are the terms. So through these terms we know that the root word is Gau, एंड थ्रू गाओ बहुत सारे ऐसे टर्म्स है जो वैदिक लिटरेचर में यूज करी गई है. और इतना इतना इम्पोर्टेंस काव को लोग देते हैं वो उनके लिंग्विस्टिक एक्सप्रेशन से ही पता चलता है. जो सबसे वेल्दिएस्ट मैन इन द सोसाइटी उसका नाम है गोमत, मतलब ही यूज्ड टू बी अ गोमत. अगर कई झगड़े हो रहे हैं, देर इज अ बैटल गोइंग ऑन, सो इट वुड बी नोन एज गविष्टि. The former literally means to search for cows. So Gavishti means that the battle is happening in search of for cows. The term themselves suggests that the possession of cattle was a bone of contention between two groups. So Gavishti जिसका मतलब है इन सर्च फॉर काउस और गविश्ती वॉज नोन टू डिस्क्राइब द बैटल. सो इसका क्या मतलब है कि उस टाइम पे जो वॉर्स होती थी, जो बैटल्स होते थे, वो जो भी कन्फ्लिक्ट्स होते थे वो टाइम में, दे वर बिकॉज पोजेशन ऑफ कैटल वॉज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो जिसके पास जितनी गाय होंगी वो उतना अमीर होगा, वो उतना वेल्दी होगा. सो इसी कैटल को लेके ही बहुत सारे ट्राइबल कन्फ्लिक्ट्स और ये सब देखे जाते थे. The Panis were the enemies of the Vedic people, and according to Rig Veda, they have hidden their wealth and their cows. What do they mean by wealth? They mean cows. So the Panis were a group of people who were considered as the enemies of the Vedic people. Why enemies? क्योंकि उन्होंने अपना wealth माउंटेन्स और फॉरेस्ट में छुपा के रखा था. उन्होंने अपनी cows माउंटेन्स और फॉरेस्ट में छुपा के रखी थी. Therefore, the Vedic god Indra was invoked to release these cattle. This reference suggests that cattle raids were common. So, in the Rig Veda, it is written that there was a group of people known as Pani, और उन्होंने अपना वेल्थ, उन्होंने अपनी गाय माउंटेन्स और फॉरेस्ट में, जंगल और पहाड़ों के में छुपा के रखी थी. तो ऋग्वेदा में ऐसा लिखा गया है कि फिर इंद्र को मतलब इंद्र भगवान को इन्वोक किया गया, उन्हें बोला गया कि आप इन गायों को बाहर निकालिए, इन्हें रिलीज करिए, सोसाइटी में लेके आइए. सो थ्रू दीज टेक्स्ट वी नो दैट कैटल रेड्स वर वेरी कॉमन. कैटल रेड्स मतलब जिसकी गाय है उनको हड़प के वापस कहीं अपने पास लेके आना. The Raja of the chief was known as Gopati. So another term we see, Gopati. What does Gopati means? Gopati means the ones who protect the cows. In Rig Veda, Godhuli is used as a term for measure of time. So there is another term known as Godhuli. So you see how different terms are related to cows, and this suggests the importance of cows. Now there is another term, Gavyuti. Gavyuti was known to used for measuring distance, and there was this another term known as Duhitra. This is very important, this term, Duhitra. What does Duhitra means? Duhitra means a daughter. तो लड़कियों को, बेटियों को उस टाइम पे दुहित्र बुलाया जाता था. क्यों? दुहित्र का मतलब क्या है? वन हु मिल्क्स द काउस. So daughters at that time used to milk the cows, and therefore they were known as Duhitra. All these terms, there are so many words that we learned: Gomat, Gopati, Duhitra, Godhuli, Gavyuti. There are so many terms. They are derived from the word Gau, which suggests that social relations in the Rigvedic period were centered around the cows. Now, even if these people who lived in the Rigvedic period, they were pastoral communities, some type of agriculture were performed, but agriculture activities find very few references. Most of the references to agriculture are of a later date. Apart from Yava, Yava. What does Yava means? Yava means barley. So apart from Yava, no other grains were mentioned. The early Vedic people did not use iron technology, copper. They were familiar with copper, but they did not value it, copper in the agriculture operation. Further, the region under discussion received low rainfall, and all the rivers that are mentioned in the Rig Veda. What are the rivers that are mentioned in the Rig Veda? Satluj, Indus, Ghagar, Ravi, etc. But the main rivers, जो मेन इंपॉर्टेंट रिवर्स है जिनका मेंशन हमें ऋग्वेदा में दिखते हैं, वो है सतलुज, रवि, घाघर और इंडस. ये जो रिवर्स हैं ये अपना कोर्स फ्रीक्वेंटली चेंज करती थी. सो व्हाई एग्रीकल्चर वाज नॉट डोमिनेंट इन दिस पीरियड? इट इज बिकॉज पहला तो कि they didn't have agriculture implements और agriculture tools. Further, जिस जगह पे ये रहते थे वहां पे जो नदियां बहती थी वो अपना कोर्स फ्रीक्वेंटली चेंज करती थी और बारिश भी उतनी नहीं होती थी. लार्ज स्केल इरिगेशन टेक्नोलॉजी उस टाइम पे डेवलप्ड ही नहीं हुई थी, एंड द एलुवियल लैंड्स नियर द रिवर कुड नॉट बी कल्टिवेटेड ऑन द परमानेंट बेसिस, क्योंकि लार्ज स्केल इरिगेशन टेक्नोलॉजी ही नहीं थी. बट हमको ऐसा सेटल्ड एग्रीकल्चर नहीं दिखता है पीरियड में, बट हमें शिफ्टिंग कल्टीवेशन दिखता है ये पीरियड में. फायर वॉज यूज टू बर्न डाउन द फॉरेस्ट कवर एंड शिफ्टिंग cultivation or shifting agriculture was practiced. So the evidence of pastoralism and shifting cultivation suggests that the people were either nomadic or semi-nomadic. They moved out of their villages with their herds for a certain period in order to feed their cattle. Gift exchange and redistribution had been an important form of their economy. Evidence of trade and commerce in the early Vedic society is very less. बहुत कम evidences है trade और commerce के. There was no concept of private property based on land ownership. Now let us study the society. The early Vedic period was a tribal society in which social relation based on kingship ties were predominant. So what were kingship ties? The society was not divided on according to caste, and even rajas, purohits, artisans were a part of the clan network. So उस टाइम पे we are talking about the early Vedic period. सोसाइटी में caste based division नहीं था. Rajas were present, purohits were present, artisans were present, different type of people, different occupations present थे, but they were part of a clan network. The tribe was referred to as Jana. Intertribal conflicts मिलते हैं हमें, which in the Rigveda we see evidences of intertribal conflicts. The tribal conflicts mentioned earlier, जैसा हमने पहले पढ़ा, were related to the cattle raids और cattle theft. किसी ने किसी की गाय चुरा ली, किसी ने किसी की गाय हड़प ली. Mostly the conflicts were related to cattle. And the chief of the tribe was known as Raja or Gopati. ये हमने पढ़ा. He was the leader in battle and the protector of his tribe. His office was not based on heredity, but he was selected from the clansmen. So this is very important. There was they first it was a tribal society. It was early kinship. Early Vedic society was a tribal society. Rajas chief होते थे, but rajas were not elected on the basis of heredity. मतलब generation wise generation एक ही family ऐसा नहीं होता था. The society used to select कि no, this he will be a gopati. His office was not based on heredity. The warrior category was the Rajanya. The basic social unit was the Kula or the family, and the Kulapa, the one who protects the family, was known as the eldest male member or the head of the family. So, this is also very important. So, the family, the term for family here is used is Kul. सो कुल मतलब परिवार और कुलप कुलापा is the head of the family. So who was the Kulapa? As it was a patriarchic society, the Kulapa was the one who protects the family and it was the eldest male. घर का सबसे बड़ा male member was the head of the family and used to protect the family. So ultimately, we can infer from this that the society was patriarchal. The birth of the son was a common desire of the people. How do we know? अभी हमें कैसे पता चलता? We find these evidences from the Rig Veda itself. So we know that it was a patriarchal society because the head of the family was a male member. Also, they wanted in the family, son was a desired because in the hymns in the Rig Veda, we see that importance is given to the male members, where the desire for a son is a constant prayer. So in the Rig Veda, हमें पता चलता है कि there is this prayer, प्रार्थना for desire of a son. If you want a son, you have to sing or recite that prayer. Even though the society was patriarchal, women had an important position in the society. How do we know that? There is instances of women who compose the hymns. So जो hymns है Vedas में, they were written, some of them were written by women. And if they are writing something, then they must be educated. So women were educated and they had access to assemblies and they wrote some of the hymns in the Rig Veda. They had a right to choose their partners and could marry late. However, women were always thought to be dependent on their fathers, brothers, or husband. Early education was imparted orally, but the tradition of education was not very well developed in this period. Various occupational groups are also found. What are these occupational groups? Weaver, carpenter, leather worker, chariot worker. तो मतलब different types of occupations were in the society which were present. How do we know that different types of occupation? Because there were different types of occupational groups. So there were weavers, there were जो लेदर पे काम करते हैं लेदर वर्कर्स, कुछ चैरियट रथ बनाते हैं, some are priest. These are mentioned in the Vedas, so we know that these were the different type of occupational groups. The chariot maker occupied a special social status. Now let us learn about the polity. These are the gotras. Before going to the polity, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gotras. Atri, Vashishtha, Kashyap, Gautam, Bharadwaj, Vishwamitra, and Angiras. These are the 7 gotras which are based on the 7 sages and seers. Now let us come to polity. A division is found in the Rig Veda. ट्राइबल पॉलिटी वॉज नॉट कम्प्लीटली इगैलिटेरियन, मतलब पूरी तरीके से सोसाइटी में सब लोग इक्वल नहीं थे, कुछ कुछ डिविजन्स हमको दिखते हैं. जिसके पास ज्यादा लैंड है, जिसके पास ज्यादा कैटल है, वो अमीर बन जाएगा. मतलब ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ वेल्थ हमें थोड़े थोड़े डिविजन्स दिखते हैं. द क्लैंस held large yagna or sacrifices to help the warrior groups in war. So this is very important. Yagna. Yagna were a very important part of the polity. The clans जो fight करने जा रहे हैं, जो wars लड़ने जा रहे हैं, they used to perform before going to the war. They used to perform these yagna, and these yagnas were performed by or officiated by a priest known as Purohit. Purohits were the priests and they also acted as a mediator between the clansmen and the god. How did the Purohits act as a mediator? मीडिएटर मतलब मिडलमैन, मतलब क्लैंसमैन जो लड़ाई लड़ने जा रहे हैं उनकी व्यथा या उनकी इच्छा वो भगवान को बताएगा और भगवान क्या कहना चाह रहे हैं वो मतलब sort of pandit. So he invoked the god's blessing for the tribal's chief for his success in the war. Initially, the whole clan participated in these yajnas. Large-scale distribution of wealth and food were made during these sacrifices, and members got an equal share. Yajna or sacrifices became an important, and the Purohita assumed a special status in the society. So this tells us about the society a lot because as बहुत सारे कन्फ्लिक्ट्स रेगुलरली होते रहते थे तो यज्ञ भी रेगुलरली होते रहते थे और जब ये सैक्रिफाइसेस होते थे तो पुरोहित्स वर द ऑफिशिएटर्स they used to mediate between the god and the clansmen. So purohits, these group of people, the priest, they attained an important position in the society. In later paths we see that purohits received major share of the gifts from the rajas and they had a superior position among other clan members. Tribal assemblies that are Gana, Vidhata, Sabha and Samitis are mentioned in the Rig Veda. So what does Sabha means? Sabha. These are the assemblies. So Sabha was the council of select clan members and Samiti comprised the whole clan. So Sabha had selected clan members while Samiti had the entire clan. These assemblies, what are these assemblies? Gana, Vidhata, Sabha and Samiti, these were the different assemblies. So what were their function? So they performed government and administration function. It involved, what were their functions? First major function was that they used to select the Raja amongst the clansmen. Thus, they kept the power of the warriors in check. However, we do not find evidences of well-defined political hierarchy in the early Vedic period, but changes हमें बाद में जाके दिखते हैं. We see that origin of Varna systems comes up in the later Vedic period. So early Vedic society was governed by tribal values and norms and was largely egalitarian. It was the later Vedic period जब हमें caste based discriminations वर्णस जैसे ब्राह्मण क्षत्रिय वैश्य और शूद्रस ये सब लेटर वैदिक पीरियड में आते हैं. अर्ली वैदिक पीरियड जो अभी हम पढ़ रहे हैं सोसाइटी वाज बेस्ड ऑन ट्राइबल वैल्यूज एंड नॉर्म्स. जो राजा होता था वो भी सोसाइटी के मेंबर्स ही चूज करते थे एंड द सोसाइटी वाज मोस्टली इगैलिटेरियन. नाउ लेट अस कम टू द religion. The religious ideas of Vedic people are reflected in the hymns of Rig Veda. So that is why Rig Veda is a very important text because ऋग वेदा के थ्रू ही हमें सोसाइटी की इकोनॉमी पॉलिटी रिलीजन सबके बारे में पता चल जाता है. They venerated the natural forces. Venerated मतलब prayed. So what were these natural forces? Wind, water, rain, thunder, fire. So these were the natural resources जिनकी वो पूजा करते थे. Why they used to pray them like in natural forces की ही क्यों पूजा करते थे? Because they could not control these forces. These forces were mostly masculine and very few female deities were venerated. Indra was the god of strength. and Indra was invoked to destroy the enemies. So whenever there were enemies, through Vedic Rigvedic hymns, they used to invoke the god Indra and would ask him and would pray that he destroyed their enemies. He was the god of thunder and was the rainmaker and was periodically asked to release the water. Agni, next in importance to Indra, was the god of fire. So first is Indra. Indra is the god of thunder. Then comes Agni, which is the god of fire. So Agni was considered to be an intermediary between heaven and earth, between gods and men. He dominated the domestic hearth and marriages and were solemnized in his presence. That is why Agni Yagna, matlab marriages mein we see that Agni, fire, plays a very important role, because Agni is considered as an intermediary between heaven and earth and also an intermediary between God and men. Fire can destroy dirt and germs, and hence Agni is considered to be very pure. And that is why Agni is related to all the yagnas and sacrifices that are performed in the early Vedic society. Yama. Next is Yama. Yam is the god of death, and it is also Yam has a very important place in the early Vedic religious beliefs. Besides Agni, Indra, and Yam, there were many other gods like Surya, Soma, Savitri, Rudra. For these gods, prayers and hymns were addressed in the Rig Veda. So we see that sacrifices play a very important role in the early Vedic period. But why these sacrifices were performed? So there are three main reasons for the performance of these sacrifices. First is First reason is to invoke the gods. Second reason, victory in battle, so that they appear the victors in the battle, victory in battles. And the third reason for the performance of sacrifices, accusation of acquisition of cattle or son. So these were the three main reasons sacrifices were performed in the Rigvedic period. We find some hymns which are dedicated to the Soma, that is plant. Hymns and prayers were recited in these sacrifices, and generally priest, Purohit, performed these yajna. The growing importance of sacrifices in the Vedic society result in the growing importance of the priest. तो दे क्या बोल रहे हैं कि हमें पता है sacrifices यज्ञ played a very important role in the early Vedic society, और ये जो यज्ञ थे ये priest लोग जो पुरोहित लोग हैं वो परफॉर्म करते थे. तो अगर सैक्रिफाइसेस का इंपॉर्टेंस बढ़ रहा है, बहुत सारे सैक्रिफाइसेस हो रहे हैं, तो प्रीस्ट का इंपॉर्टेंस भी उतना ही बढ़ेगा. Also, frequent sacrifices led to a knowledge of their anatomy because animal sacrifices used to take place. So itna animals, there is a story ke itna animal sacrifices they were taking place that humans, the early Vedic people, could now they had a knowledge of their anatomy. Religion was not based on magic or ritual formula, rather, it stressed the direct communication with gods through sacrifices. So, इनका जो religion है early Vedic period का, they are trying to directly communicate with the god. कुछ magic या ऐसा कुछ ritual नहीं है. They are directly communicating through the god through the sacrifices that they perform. Sacrificial religion is a religion of the pastoral people. Why? This is a very important line. जो sacrificial religion है, sacrifices किसका? Mostly animals का, sometimes humans का भी. ये बहुत ही important है pastoral people की society में. क्यों? Because pastoral people, they worship the cows, they worship the animals, because उनकी society में that is the main form of their occupation. If someone has a cow, someone has many cattle, then that person is considered wealthy. So if a person is sacrificing that for the god, that means that he really wants something. So that is why sacrificial religion is a very important religion in the pastoral people. Those animals who are not economically viable. What does this word mean? Economically, economically वायबल. सो ऐसे बहुत सारे एनिमल्स थे जो बूढ़े हो गए. दे आर नॉट प्रोड्यूसिंग मिल्क, दे आर यूज फॉर ब्रीडिंग पर्पसेस, बट वो अब वो भी नहीं कर सकते. सो दीज आर नॉट इकोनॉमिकली वायबल. सो दे आर किल्ड in order to lessen the burden on their owner. Hence, animal sacrifice was one way of destroying old animals and thus had an important role in the society. In the agrarian society, however, older animals are employed in the field, used for different agriculture activities. That is why agriculture society में हम इतने animal sacrifices नहीं देखेंगे. So this was the early Vedic society. We learned about their economy, their religion, their society, their polity. We know that early Vedic society was a tribal society. It was mostly egalitarian. The chief of the society was known as Raja, and it was elected by the members of the clans of the assemblies, which were Sabha and Samiti. Priest or the Purohit played a very important role in the society. The early Vedic people, they worship the natural forces like wind, water, rain. They worship them as gods. We see sacrifices, yagna, playing a very important role in the Vedic religion. And we see that between 1500 to 1000 BCE, the society was constantly evolving, and newer elements of the economic, social, and political religion elements, they were transforming their structure. So that was the early Vedic period. If you have any questions, you can write in the comment box, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank